Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics, and this week I'm going to be showing you just a few jobs that I've got throughout the week. So if you haven't seen my channel before, basically I'm a mobile mechanic, and what I do is I'll either show you sort of a few jobs scattered out throughout the week that I do, or I'll show you a full job from start to finish, or sometimes I'll just do like a sort of a full day for you. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like it. So it's Monday morning now, well, it's Monday lunchtime I should say. I've already had a couple of jobs this morning. The first one was a service. I was on a Golf. There was a service and brake fluid change. And then I've got a Ford Fiesta just to quickly replace a battery on. Now I've just got an Audi A3, that's for a service as well. Car's still under warranty, so we're using genuine parts. So this year it's having the oil and filter with a sump plug and a new pollen filter. So this week I've got a few jobs that you might find interesting. So after this one I've got another Audi A3. That is for some rear disc and pads and a Haldex service. That's one I think I showed on a previous video. I just went to go and service. So it's just a couple of items that I picked up while I was there. Tomorrow I've got two more services, one on a Audi TT, one on an Audi S4, and I've also got a auxiliary belt to do on a BMW 4 Series and a brake fluid change on a Mini. Wednesday I've got a Audi A3 for a time and batten water pump. But what I might do with that one, I think I'm going to film that whole job from start to finish, and then I'll do a separate video on that one, I think. And then after I've done that, I've got a service on a Volkswagen Golf. And then Thursday, what have I got Thursday? Peugeot 306, I think it is. That's for a water pump that's leaking. And then, I can't remember what I've got after that. And then Friday, I know I've got some rear disc and pads. That's on an Audi TT as well. And a couple of other jobs. Oh, a service on a Renault Clio. I think there's something else. A couple of other jobs on the Thursday as well, but yeah, I can't remember. So should have a few jobs, a few interesting jobs that I could show you. So the first thing I'm just doing with this A3, just running a fault memory check. There are quite a few faults in there. Like I say, the car's under warranty, so if there's anything that sort of needs attention, I'll report it. Let them know, because you can then take it into Audi to get those done under warranty. So I'm just having a look now. It's just tyre pressure warning. Obviously we'll be doing the tyre pressures today, so that'll sort that. What's this? Battery management, brake booster, a couple of faults in there, communication faults, could be linked to the battery management faults. If it thinks it's getting a low battery, just sometimes puts communication faults in there. What I'll probably do is just save this diagnostic report, let the customer know. So if he gets any issues, a lot of these communication faults, things like this, you quite often don't actually get any problems. The customer doesn't know anything about them. BMWs, it's very rare you'll run a fault memory check on a BMW and not find any faults. They've always got communication faults between control units. They're always quite often sporadic faults, and they're just kind of ones to ignore, really. I'll save the diagnostic report anyway, just in case, so that if he does need to go into Audi, at least it's there, isn't it? And then I want to be obviously resetting the service light. I've gone to here, gone to oil and inspection service reset. Confirm that. That's all done. Obviously just want to check that it's all done it properly. Let's go to there. Settings and service. Service intervals. 9,000 miles or next year. And inspection is 19,000 or 2027. That's perfect. The joys of working on new cars. Look how clean it is under here. So this is still under warranty. I've been servicing it since its first service, I think. So yeah, it's really nice and clean under here. Obviously, oil's just draining now. Then just whip the oil filter out there. Nice, easy access. The only thing about these A3s is the amount of understray screws to get the understray out. They're ridiculous. You've got a load of T25s here. You've got a row of T45s there, and then you've got two more back here that look a big plastic 24mm screw. So a bit of a faff getting them off, but they are my favourite cars to work on, Volkswagen Audi Group. I like them. It's the nice thing about being mobile. You get to work in some nice areas sometimes. Nice and warm out, about 20 degrees, a couple of horses next to me. Yeah, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, the winter sucks, but yeah, summertime's nice. Well, I'm making the most of it because we're in September now, so I'm not going to have this weather for long. Yeah, it won't be long until it's cold, middle of winter, working out when it's about minus 10 degrees, snowing. Miserable. But for now, yeah, it's nice. The pollen filter on this is ever so slightly different. So usually, unlike Golfs and things like that, you drop the glove box down and then you've got full access to get to the panel. This one, you just got a little panel here that you take off, which leaves you with just enough room. So you've got 3 tabs on the cover. You've got one there, one there, one there. You're just going to put them down, pull this cover off. And once you've got the cover off here, you just use on the end there, see this got like a little hook. You get that when you pull and fills that, and just pull it so that you've got enough space then to get your hands on and pull it out. This pollen filter, I replaced this last time it was due. So it was 20,000 miles ago. It wasn't quite 2 years because it does fairly high mileage, but it's 20,000 miles ago. So it's probably, I think it's about probably 18 months old or something. You can see how dirty it is there in just 18 months and 20,000 miles. It's pretty minging. So again, I know I like to bang on about it, but get your pollen filters changed because a lot of people don't change them. I'd say pollen filters and brake fluid change, they're probably the most neglected part of a service. The amount of times I've done a service, pulled the pollen filter out, and it's still the original filter about 10 years old and absolutely minging. Obviously, that's filtering the air that you're breathing into the cab, so why you wouldn't want to change that, I don't know. Right, so next up, got the Audi A3 for a set of radius and pads. Don't think I really need to explain why I'm replacing those in a bad way. And I'm also doing the Haldex service, which is this part here. It's basically your rear wheel drive coupling. So that is due, I think it's every 3 years. But when I came and serviced it the other week, there's no record of it ever being done. So basically, just going to drain the oil, and I'll take out the motor there. Take that out, and inside there has got it's a filter, but it's kind of like a sieve. If you imagine it like a sieve, and they can sort of get a bit blocked up. So you want to take the motor out, clean that all up, put the motor back in with some new seals, put the plug back in, fill it up, and then once you've done that, you need to activate the motor to sort of circulate the oil around and double check the level. I'm going to start with the rear brakes first, I think. So basically, you need to go inside. Obviously, it's got the electronic parking brake, so I need to go inside, get the computer on it, and put that into service mode, which will retract the motor back. So then, once I've got the caliper off, I can push the piston back, get the caliper carrier off, swap the discs over, and then once I've done that, I think I'll do the Haldex service after. So for the parking brake, we'll go into here. Brakes, replace brake pads. So I need to obviously get the handbrake off first. We'll go next. And then you can hear that, and you can see there's confirmation on there. So it'll come with the same parking brake fault. That's basically just because it's been put in service mode. So then, ignition off. Now I can go ahead, change the brakes, and then once I've done that, put the ignition back on, press OK, and that'll bring the motors back forward again. So I just want to start off by getting this retaining clip off here. Get these out from there and there, and then Get a 7mm Allen key socket in there, get these out, and get the caliper off. So then to get the brake carrier out, the caliper carrier, you got a bolt there, and then one more there. These can be really tight, to be fair. A bit of an awkward, this top one particularly is a bit awkward to get to, so you kind of need to get it in, I find, get your wobbly extension on there, get it to about here, and then try and gun it off. Yeah, they can be really tight, these ones, don't know why. Right, so caliper's off, carrier's off, this is off. You can see the mess it's made. I'm going to have a good clean-up operation before putting these brakes on. So I've got a wire wheel on a drill, so I'm going to get all this hub nice and clean. I want to get that pushed back. That's the piston for the brake pads. Get that pushed back. Get the caliper carrier. So your brake pads are going to sit in here. So I want to get these all nice and clean as well. Get everything as clean as I can, and then build it all together. Right, they're looking a bit better, aren't they? And everything's all tight. So I'm just going to do the other side, and then get the park and brake motor back into position. Now the brakes are done. Put the ignition back on. I've put in the brake pedal, and hopefully you can hear the motors going back into the position. So I just want to make sure it's working. Stand back off. You can hear it. So I've got ABS light and traction control light. They're flashing now because I'm sort of in the middle of the service function. They will clear. So now for the Haldex service. So the drain plug is this 8mm Allen key bolt, and the fill plug is up here, which is a 5mm. So I'm going to start by, I want to make sure that I can get the fill plug out first. Really just so that if, for instance, I take out the drain plug, get all the oil out, and then I go to get the fill plug out, and it rounds off or it's stuck and I can't get it out, then I'll be stuck then with no oil in here. So I want to make sure that I can get that out first, and then I'll drain it under here, catch all the old oil. There's only not a lot of oil in these. I think it's about 0.8 millilitres of oil or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to crack on. So it's a genuine kit I've got. So I've got the genuine oil, and then with the service kit you get new bolts, drain bolts, new seals for the pump, new bolts for the pump. So I'm going to get the new plug back in, and then I won't fill it up just yet because I want to take the pump out and clean that out. Now that my drain plug's in, I've just got to take out, you can use T30 or you can probably get a 10mm bolt on there. You got one there, one there. That is a T15 or T20. I can't remember. I don't think you have to take that one out, to be fair. You may do. It may just be those two bolts, then with the motor out. Alright, so I've got the motor out. And you can see up in there how dirty it gets. All in there, you do get a bit of rubbish in there, so I want to give that a good clean out. Change these two seals and get it back in, and then I can fill it up. So now that's in, just want to fill it up. So back up in that, fill a hole. I'm using a big syringe. Just want to pump it in until the oil starts to dribble out. So essentially when the oil level is sort of level with the bottom of the hole, it'll just start dribbling out. Then I'll put the filler plug back in. Don't need to tighten it just yet because I'll need to check the level. So now to check the fluid level. So first thing I want to do is make sure it's the right temperature. So it's fairly broad spectrum, to be fair. You just want it between 20 and 40 degrees Celsius. So if you look at the control module temperature, 22, clutch temperature, 23.2. So temperature wise, we're about where we want it to be. And then what I want to do is, if I go into basic setting, yeah, pump motor, and then I want to activate the pump. So I just want to make sure that all the oil gets circulated around the system. So that's active now. So I'll leave that for a little bit to do its thing, and then I'll turn it off and check the fluid level again. So essentially want it where I said before, so when I take out the fill plug, it just wants to be level at the bottom. Right, so check the oil level, that was all good. One thing I forgot to mention actually is when you're checking the oil level on the Haldex, you got to make sure that the car's level. So I had the back end jacked up while I was doing the brakes and draining the oil. So I just jacked the front up just to make the car level when checking the oil level. So yeah, you've got to make sure it's the car's level to make sure that the oil level is correct, basically. So I'm just going to take for a drive now. Just make sure the brakes are all okay, make sure no fault warning lights come up on the dash or anything like that. But yeah, it should all be job done and end of the day. Right then, it's Tuesday. Next up we've got a BMW 4 Series, just for an auxiliary belt. Nice, simple, straightforward swap over. Quite easy to do really, to be fair. I'm just going to get the engine cover off, and then I want to get the air filter housing, get that out of the way, and then behind this cover should be able to get to the belt easily. First thing I want to do, just want to get this pipe off, these clips, get those out of the way, and then I'm going to take off this plug connector here. This is the type, it's got like a little locking tab on, so it'll be down there. You basically just lift that tab up and then sort of push the connector down, squeeze it there, and you can take it off. And then I'm just going to get a little flat blade screwdriver, get this off here, and then you've got 3 sort of rubber grommets on there, and then located there. Just pull that up and out of the way. And then just get the rest of the pipe off. We've got a 10mm bolt here. I want to get this pipe, get that out of the way, get a bit of wiring loom off. And then here, that's the, if you've seen my videos before, I think I spoke about it with the Mini, this breather pipe, they get really brittle. They break very easily, so you want to be really careful getting this off. So you got 2 tabs there, squeeze those and pull that off. You want to get it, there's 2 tabs here as well, squeeze them in and lift it up, and like I say, just be really careful not to damage it. Once they're out, got this clip here, like a U-shape, horseshoe shaped clip. I'm going to get that all the way out, and you should be able to pull this pipe out like that. Now for the cover, got T30 there, got a 10mm there, and I think, yeah, that's everything. And then if I get my 16mm out on here, I can wind it over and get a pin in that little hole, get it locked over, and get the belt off. And before doing that, I want to take note of the route of where the belt goes. Particularly important if, say, if you're going to take the belt off and then it's going to be a little while before taking it on again, guarantee you're going to forget. So sometimes I like to draw a picture of just the route so that I remember. This one's quite simple, to be fair. So I've got the belt off. The tensioner first. You can work your way around and get it all off. And while it's off, it's got to make sure that everything's just nice and free and easy before putting the new belt back on. And then again, we'll start up here, get this on, and just work my way back around, basically in reverse order. Just like that. Then when I got the belt on, I just always run my finger around and just make sure that it's sat properly in all the pulleys, all the teeth of the belt, the ridges, or in the ridges of the pulleys as well. And you can get that back on, take the pin out, and that's done. I think one thing I'm going to recommend to him, for the crankshaft pulley, the rubber's just starting to split. These are quite common for splitting, so it's definitely worth replacing that before it becomes an issue. And then that breather pipe that was here was all oily around the bottom, and is a little bit split. It looks like it's had a new EGR cooler. There's a recall for these. It looks like it's had a new one. That pipe's got to come off for that, so I suspect it's probably just been leaking since then, really. So yeah, I think it's better to replace that and replace the pipe before it becomes a problem. And when putting the air filter housing back on, we said there were some grommets here. So this one basically it's just got a little point on it, just pushes down in there. You've got two rubber grommets, one there and one there. And when you take it off, they tend to stay on here. So what I do, what I find easiest to do, is to take them off here, and I will slip them up there first, same as this one. Put it on there, and then I find it a lot easier just to get them in place. There, and there, and then you can just push them on, like that. And my next job is just straightforward brake fluid change. This is actually the owner of the 4 Series. This is mother's car, so we're in the same location. So I've just got the brake bleeder pressurised up, and then I'll just work my way one by one, bleeding the brakes, starting with the passenger side rear, then driver side rear, passenger side front, and then driver side front. So this one, nice and easy. The brake caliper, the nipple, it's really easy to get to. Sometimes the caliper's on that side, and it's a bit tricky to sort of get to. This one's literally right there underneath. So got my bottle on, 11mm spanner. I just want to crack this nipple open, like that. And you can see there, brake fluid's coming out. So with that pressure bleeder, as the old fluid is being drawn out here, the new fluid is being pushed into the reservoir. And like I say, we'll just do this one by one on each corner. Now that that's done, all that's left is to reset the brake fluid service light. Mini and BMW, they have a brake fluid light on them. So to do that, I've got to go into oil reset, strangely, but it'll all be in there. Identify the vehicle. And if I go into CBS reset on here, you should see the oil change light, the brake fluid light, the vehicle check light, things like that. So you want to choose which one you want to reset. Is the time and date accurate? Yep. And then here, see there, brake fluid, that's at 0%. I'm going to reset that. Next. Now the brake fluid's at 100%. Now I can check on here. You can see there, that's all sorted. So all I've got left to do now is just take for a road test, make sure the brake pedal is good, and then that'll be me done for the day, actually. So yeah, that's me done for the day. Well, as far as sort of labour work is concerned, I'm all done. This morning, what did I do? An Audi S4 for a service, and then I had an Audi TTS, that was for a service as well. And obviously the auxiliary belt on the 4 Series and the brake fluid change. So all I've got to do really is I need to go and collect some more parts, and then I'm going to go home, get back in touch. I've got a load of customers I need to get back in touch with, price a few jobs up, get people booked in, and then I've also got, because of all the Audis I've been servicing like the last week or so, Audis and Volkswagens, I need to update all the online service history. So I'm going to sit down and do that. I think I've got about an hour now between that and then having to pick my lad up from school, so I'll go ahead and do that. Nice, pretty chilled out, straightforward day today. It's been nice. Right then, it's Thursday morning. It's been a little bit of an unproductive morning so far. My first job, I was supposed to be going to do a water pump on a Peugeot, but the customer, she messaged me yesterday to say that she'd had like a last minute work meeting that she needs to go to. So she needs to be gone by 12. So she messaged me yesterday just saying, do you think you'll be done by 12? So I said to her yesterday, yeah, as long as everything runs smoothly, should be done by then, shouldn't be a problem. Then when I was on the way there, it's about a 35-minute drive to get there. And then when I got there, I could tell it, like, she was a bit sort of angsty, just making sure. She was like, you're definitely going to be done by 12 because I need to be gone by 12. And so I said to her, well, realistically, if everything runs smoothly, then yeah, I should be done by 12. But I think, as we all know, it only takes one broken bolt or one thing to happen to sort of turn a 2-hour job into a 3-hour job, doesn't it? So I kind of didn't want to be the cause of her missing her meeting or anything. So I said to her, would you feel more comfortable? She said about rearranging. I said, would you be more comfortable if we rearrange for another time? And she was like, yeah, I would, to be fair. So I'm going to book her in. I said, the only problem is I'm not going to be able to get to you for sort of 2 weeks. I said, because I'm completely rammed for the next 2 weeks. I wouldn't even be able to squeeze you in anywhere. She said, that's fine. I'm happy to wait until then. So we've moved her till in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to do it then. Get to her in the afternoon. So she's my last job, because I've got 2 jobs booked in that day already. I said, I'll come to you after that. So if it does go a little bit longer, at least you don't have to be anywhere. It doesn't really matter. So she was, I think, more comfortable doing that. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame because obviously it's like an hour's round trip to get there. It's a couple of hours work that I've now missed out on today, but I think she'd rather that, and I think I'd rather that as well, because I don't want to feel the pressure to make sure I'm done for a certain time, and if I'm not, then I'm the reason that she's missed out on her meeting. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we were both quite happy changing it. So it just means that I've gotten to my next job a little bit earlier. So I've got a Volvo V40 2-litre diesel. So I'm doing an oil and filter change on it today. This one, so I came here last week to drain the oil. Basically, she's been to Volvo already, because it keeps coming up sort of every 500 miles or so, telling her to top up half a litre or a litre. So she took the Volvo, they had a look into it, and they've told her that basically said it's going to be a new engine. I think with these engines, they're quite common for, I think the piston rings go on them. I think they might have brought out some modified piston rings at a later date. So they burn oil. I think she's been told basically from Volvo it's going to be a new engine. So she was a bit unsure as to whether that was right or not. So she basically just got me to come over to drain the oil last week. So I took it out, and then we put 5 litres of oil back into it, and then I've come back. So it's done about 700 miles since then. And I'm going to drain it again, see how much oil is in there, see if it is actually using the oil. Because it could just be that it's an oil level sensor fault. Could just be faulty and telling her to top up oil when she doesn't need to. But yeah, when I was here last week, when I drained it, I think only about 3 litres of oil came out, which isn't a good sign. There is an oil leak. You can see from underneath there's an oil leak, but it doesn't seem to be bad enough to be using up a litre for every 500 miles. It doesn't seem that bad, so it could be a bit of a mix of things. There is an oil leak, but it could be that what they were saying at Volvo is actually true, which wouldn't be good news for the customer. But yeah, I'm going to drain the oil now, see how much comes out, and then kind of make a bit of a decision then. I think I'll look further into the oil leak, just see where that's coming from. Because we could repair the oil leak, like say if it's leaking rocker cover or leaking sump or something like that, we could sort that, which would help, but can't really guarantee that it's going to solve the problem if it is an internal problem. Right, so drain the oil out, and you can see there it's sort of just under the 4 litre mark, probably about 3.75 litres of oil that's come out. So it should have 5 litres in there. So obviously there is an issue going on, either with the oil leak or with it burning oil. So I think I need to have a little bit of further investigation into that oil leak, see what's going on. I know manufacturers do have a certain tolerance for oil consumption, but off the top of my head, I think it's about a litre per 1200 miles or something like that. I think that might be Volvo's. Obviously, this is used over a litre in 700 miles, so it's definitely using too much oil. I'm going to have a look because it has got an oil leak, so I think I might do a bit of digging into there just to see if I can find where the leak's coming from. However, I don't think that's going to cure it. I think it's pretty much just going to be putting a plaster on it. Yes, we could sort out the oil leak, but when taking off the under tray and looking underneath, there's not more than a litre worth of oil on there, and like she said, she hasn't seen any patches of oil anywhere. So I think it's probably going to be a bit of a mix of, yes, there's an oil leak, but it is burning oil. So what Volvo was saying, by the sounds of it, probably was correct, which isn't good news really for the customer, is it? But yeah, I'll let her know and see what she wants to do with it. Right, so last job on the Friday then. I've just got this Polo, little service, oil filter, new sun plug seal, and pollen filter. And then I've also got a set of rear brake shoes and drums to replace on it as well. So it was, I think it's the passenger side rear. It's locked up, it's seized. It's had an advisory for the last couple of years for the handbrake as well. So it's coming up really high. And that's basically because it's only really operating on the one side. So on the passenger side, the handbrake lever, they're really common on the handbrake levers, they seize up. So for the rear shoes, first thing I want to do, I want to slacken off the handbrake. I'm going to de-adjust it completely. So to do that, I've just had to take it's got a centre armrest, so I just have to take the back trim out, get a 13mm nut off, and then lift it all up. So yeah, I'm going to slacken off the handbrake completely, and then that'll allow me to, when I've put the shoes on, I can adjust them at the shoes first, make sure they're all good, and then I can adjust at the handbrake lever last. So to do that, I've just got a little 10mm ratchet spanner on that one nut there, and I can just undo it. Just keep going all the way until it's fully de-adjusted. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so I'll slacken it off fully there. I'll probably have to de-adjust the brakes inside, take off that T30, and then I can get the drum off. So now the drum's off, what I'm going to do is get the hub off. So behind there'll be a big nut. Take the nut off, then I'll take the hub with the bearing off, give me a load more room. And then I've got these clips there and there, they've got springs behind them, so I'll just get a pair of pliers on there, so you push and then twist 90 degrees, they'll pop off. Take the springs off, unhook the handbrake lever from the handbrake cable, and then we can get the shoes off, give it all a good clean up, all that brake dust. So I'll get a pair of pliers on here, I'll see if I can do it one-handed, go a bit like that, push it in, twist it, and then it pops out. So that's with the shoes off now. So just in the process of cleaning this up as best as I can. I'm not going to get it mint because I'm about 11 years old, but I'll clean these all up and then get the new shoes on. So I've got some new shoes, new spring kit, new drums. The only thing that doesn't come with that spring kit is this little bar here. So annoyingly, it means I need to strip these all down to get that bar, and then I can build that back up. Be nice if the kit came with that bar, but never mind. There we have a nice new shoe kit. I would have loved to have shown you how to strip them down and put them together, but they're really fiddly. You need two hands. Can't really film it and show you. I haven't really got any way of setting up my camera today, to be honest. Now we have some nice new shoes. So I'm going to get the drum on. Going to do the same on the other side. Get them adjusted up, which is basically this little lever there. So I'm going to adjust them here first. So they've got a nice foot brake, and then go back inside and adjust the handbrake cable on the lever. So now I've got the brakes adjusted on this end to a point where when you turn the wheel, you can just hear the shoe's just rubbing on the inside of the drum a little bit. Don't know if you can, if it's picking it up. So it's not gripping, it's not binding, but the shoes are close enough where they're kind of touching the drum. Now I can go inside and adjust the handbrake and get that perfect. So I've adjusted the handbrake at the cable so that it's enough so you get a nice sort of 4 or 5 clicks, which is nice. I just want to check, make sure the wheels are locked up with the handbrake on, which they are. And then obviously I just want to also make sure that when I take the handbrake off, just want to make sure the wheels aren't binding up. That's nice. Perfect. Right, that's me done for the week. Been a pretty decent week, I think. Not been able to show you every job that I've been doing because a lot of it has just been servicing. It's been basic, straightforward work this week. Yeah, it's been nice. But hopefully you've enjoyed watching the video anyway. Hopefully you've learned something or just found it overall interesting. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.